Hey, what is going on, guys? It's DK back at you with another video here to break down the 10-game NBA main slate on Friday. A couple of things before I get in the video. If you're new to the channel, my name's DK. I make daily videos talking about NBA, NFL, and XFL daily fantasy sports. I'm also running a weekly $20 PayPal giveaway on my channel. How it works, all you have to do is leave a like and a comment on the video. It's 1 inch in the giveaway. Max 1 comment left per video. So it started with my Monday NBA video that I uploaded at the beginning of the week. We'll go throughout the week onto my Monday NBA video at the end of the week. So however many videos I've uploaded for the week, you can end the giveaway that many times. If I have 10 videos, for example, uploaded for the week, you can end the giveaway 10 times. And again, the winner does receive $20 PayPal for myself. Also, just want to say thank you guys for all the support. Really do appreciate it. On the videos, the live streams on Twitter. Thank you guys. But yeah, with that out of the way, let's jump to the video. First, let's look back at this ugly slate here from Thursday. So, this is my final lineup here with Pat Bev, Harden, Paul George, Mike Scott, Cody Zeller, Steph, Bielitsa, and Serge Ibaka. Looking to be an ugly one unless Houston comes back, but not looking like a 22-point game. I hope to bring the starters back in because otherwise I'm screwed. I have Pat Bev, I have Harden, I have Paul George. So yeah, it looks like a blowout might ruin this slate. We'll see. Hopefully Houston can make it close. Mike Scott is a value play. So my core there was Mike Scott, Cody Zeller, Paul George, and Harden. Again, the two spend up's not looking great right now just because that game looks like it's, the starters might not get any fourth quarter run. Then I rolled with Steph. Bielitsa wasn't super high in him, but I got into him because, I wanted to get Ibaka in there. I originally had Boucher and who else did I have? I had Boucher and Tobias Harris is who I had. And then, I really wanted to get Ibaka in there once he got rolled in. So I put Ibaka in. Again, wasn't super excited about Bielitsa, but he fit in. And then again, I told you guys I was taking the risk there with Steph Curry. So that basically does it here for the look back. Again, not looking amazing right now just because of that Clippers-Houston game. But we'll see how it goes. All right, let's talk about the 10-game slate for Friday. And this one's interesting. There's a lot of news, a lot of stuff to go over. But let's try to break it down. Before we get into players, their prices, let's look at some Vegas numbers. We have the Hawks and the Wizards, 245.5 over under. The Wizards are 3-point favorites. We have the Thunder Knicks, 219 over under. The Thunder are 7-point favorites. Miami and the Pelicans at 235.5 over under. The Pelicans are 1.5-point favorites. And then Magic Timberwolves also 235 over under. Magic are 2-point favorites. And the late night hammer, this one should be really fun to watch. Bucks at Lakers, 228 over under. Looks like it's a pick 'em right now. So, we'll start as always with center. So Anthony Davis at the top at 9.8K does seem pretty cheap for him. He's been a little bit up and down this, recently. But again, this one should be played at a fast pace. I know Milwaukee's solid defensively, but this is Anthony Davis, right? So. And he's under 10K. I do have some interest. I think he's more a contrarian option, just because you could argue there's studs in better spots, but I still have a good amount of interest in AD. Porzingis at 9.3K. I think you can look to him even if Luka plays. He played 45 minutes the last game against the Pelicans. Now, it did go to overtime, but he's still 40 in regulation. It's amazing to see. He's playing huge minutes. It's a great matchup. If Luka gets ruled out, I love Porzingis. If Luka's in, I still think you can play Porzingis. Oops, gotta decline that. Sorry. All right, so let's move on to, let's go on to Whiteside here at 9.1K. I do have interest in Whiteside as well. We have DeAndre Ayton is doubtful. Now, you could argue that it probably would have been better for Whiteside if Ayton played, but we'll talk about some value there on the opposite side there for Phoenix. I assume Aaron Baines probably picks up the start. He's going to be probably the best value play of the day. But I still like Whiteside. Lillard coming back and doesn't really affect him. He's going to play 35 or so minutes in a close one. This is a good spot. So, yeah, I do like Whiteside. Right now, the way this slate is shaping up is it's going to be a stars and scrubs approach because I just like a lot of these stars up here. There's not a whole lot that's very appealing right now in the mid-range. There's some value we'll talk about in a bit. So that's the way I'm leaning right now. Vucevic, again, you can make an argument for him. He's going to probably play 35 or so minutes. Great match against Minnesota. He's under 9K. Yeah, of course I have interest in Vucevic. Sabonis, so I'm actually going to this game tomorrow, the Pacers and Chicago. Super excited to finally see Sabonis play in person. So unfortunately, I'm not going to be able to live stream for this one. I'll try to keep you guys updated on Twitter, but yeah, I'll see how it goes. Maybe I can give you guys a core or like a player pool or something like that. Now, Sabonis at 8.7, we have Brogdon already doubtful. We have Oladipo questionable, and we have TJ Warren questionable. If all those guys are out, yeah, I do like Sabonis as well. Man, we want to target bigs against the Bulls. He's priced under 9K. If all those guys are out, they're going to be pretty thin, and they're probably going to lean heavily on Sabonis. So this one's kind of dependent on news. I might still play him just because I'm going to the game, and I'm going to say, screw it, I just want to play him for fun. But yeah, if all those guys are out for the Pacers, right, I think you can definitely make an argument for Sabonis. Again, 8 and doubtful. Bam and Adebayo in a good spot at 8.2. There's just so many good spend-ups. I have some interest in him as well. I'm not going to get to Gobert. I'm not going to get to Randall. I'm not going to get to Zion. JV, I do have some interest in 7.4K. Back-to-back games of blowouts, 25 and 26 minutes. But in close games, we've seen over 30 minutes from him. Again, this one should be played at a pretty fast pace. I'm not really scared of whoever they try to throw on, whether it be Kleber or Porzingis. Now, the slight concern is, Dallas does kind of like running up-tempo game, so maybe they could limit Jonas Valanciunas' minutes. That's always a slight concern with him, but I think he makes for an interesting tournament play. We have Aldridge out already. We have Jakob Poeltl still out. We'll talk about some value there for the Spurs. I'm not going to get to Adams. Naz Reid does pique my interest a little bit just because he does have that upside, but he is also a guy that does get in foul trouble a good amount. It's a tougher spot. I don't know if I get to him, but I understand it if you want to take a shot there. Mitchell Robinson is questionable. If he misses, we look to Bobby Portis again as a value play. These mid-range guys, I'm not super excited about. I don't think into Favors or Rui or Tice. Miles Turner's okay, but again, I think I'll just prefer spending up to Sabonis. The only way really Miles Turner can get a big game, he has to have one of those big block games, right? He has to have like 4 or 5 blocks. Kleber, so we saw he actually played 39 minutes next to Porzingis that last game, which is good to see. It's a good spot, but 5.2, I don't know if I get to him. Now, there are some question marks here in Dallas, right? Luka is obviously questionable. Tim Hardaway Jr. is questionable, and Dorian Finney-Smith are questionable. All 3 of those guys play huge minutes. If all 3 are out, you can definitely make an argument for Kleber, and I might prefer some of the guards, like Luka's out, right? Like Seth Curry or DeLon Wright, even J.J. Barea. So we'll talk about that a bit more. Trey Lyles was a bit of a letdown last game. He was pretty chalky. Only had 17 fantasy points. I don't mind going back to the well here just because, Brooklyn runs big, right? So I don't think there's a concern with his minutes, with, him being basically only big. I mean, they do have Eubanks too, but I don't think they want to give Eubanks too many minutes. Right, Brooklyn always plays either Allen or Jordan, so I think Lyles is probably in for about 35 or so minutes. He was a lot down the last game, but, the minutes are going to be there. It's a good spot. I do have some interest in Trey Lyles in the mid-tier. Jordan, Allen, again, you guys know my breakdown of these guys by now. They're going to ride the hot hand. They're fine for GPPs. If you're going to make me pick one, I would choose Allen for, $200 cheaper. But I'm not going to get to the Bulls here. I'm not going to get to Gorgie Jang. I'll pass on Brook Lopez. Bobby Portis would only have interest in Mitchell Robinson misses. He had a pretty solid game the last game. Did shoot the ball really well. Played 30 minutes. So he's someone that I would look to if Robinson's out. Thomas Bryant does intrigue me a little bit here at 4K. Missed that last game due to rest or was it load management, injury management, whatever they call it. His minutes ticked up a little bit, played 19. It's a really good spot, obviously. I do have a little bit of interest in him as a value play. Now, obviously, I prefer Aaron Baines, assuming he starts at center for Phoenix, but Bryant does intrigue me a little bit. Mo Wagner was chalky the other night with Thomas Bryant. Now, with Thomas Bryant playing, I don't think I get to him. Let's see. Other options here. I'm not going to get to any of these. Dedmon does intrigue me at 3.4K. Is expected to play. I would like him a decent amount if he starts. If he starts, I think we probably get at least 20 minutes from him. And he's a pretty productive guy when he gets minutes. So that's a good matchup, too. So, yeah, we got to keep an eye on this. If Dedmon starts, I would like him a good amount as a value play. Cheek Diallo, I guess there's an outside chance they could start him at center. I assume it's going to be Baines. Now, Baines is not going to play the whole game, right? So I think Diallo is going to be in the rotation too. You could make the argument to play both these guys because they're literally both like min price basically. Now obviously whoever starts is safer. I don't think they're going to run like a small ball. Like I don't think they're going to move like Sarge to the 5 and like move a guard in there. I really think it's going to be either Diallo or Baines starts. Again, I think you can play both those guys because whoever starts, like if Baines starts, I don't think he plays more than like 25, 30 minutes. And again, we know that Portland runs big. I'd assume Diallo probably gets the rest of that run. He's a pretty productive guy. So Yeah, you could definitely make the argument to play both them. Let me get to Baines here. He is at the flat min. I assume he's going to be the ultimate chalk with no DeAndre Ayton. Really hasn't played huge minutes, but they're going to need him in this one. Again, Whiteside, he plays about 35 or so a game. Whoever starts between the two, I'd obviously prefer. Again, I think you can play both those Phoenix bigs if you want to. Let's move on to power forward. Giannis at the top at 11.2. It's a tougher spot. I think he's more of a contrarian option. On the slate, there's just studs in better spots I like more. But yeah, you can definitely look to him for tournaments. Tatum at 10K. So let's go to Boston really quick. They are thin, but not as thin as that last game. So Brown and Hayward are still out, but Kemba is coming back. It's a tougher spot. So I'm not like overly excited about Tatum at 10K there. Let's see. Aaron Gordon at 8.6 feels a little bit expensive. It is a good matchup, but I don't know if I get to him. John Collins at 8.5 have some interest. He had a really bad game the last game against Memphis. Basically, everyone in Atlanta did. The price had dropped $400. I think I'm going to prefer Trae Young on his same team for about $1,400 more. But you could run a game stack here, right? Trae, John Collins, run it back with Beal, and then go value. I think that's a pretty solid build for GPPs. The New Orleans guys that I'm not super excited there against Miami. The OKC guys, again, they're always just filler for me. No one to really get to with much confidence there. Like Gallinari is always okay for cash, right? 6.1K, but I'm not overly excited about that. Bertans at 5.6, I think is viable for GPPs. He's going to play about 30 or so minutes. If he gets hot behind the three-point line like he has the last 3 games, he can put up 30-plus fantasy points. It's a good spot. I'm not going to get the Thad Young with those Chicago bigs coming back. Melo I'll pass with Damian Lillard coming back. Again, the Chicago guys, I'm not super excited there. Sarge at 4.9. They could run a little bit of him at small ball 5, but again, I think I prefer Baines. I think I prefer Diallo there. Let's see, Rudy Gay at 4.6. He seems priced about right. We probably get 25 or so minutes from him. I think he's okay. Mid-tier play. I'm not super excited about that. James Ennis at 4.2. Sure is okay as a value option. It's a good matchup. We do have Fournier doubtful too. So I'm curious to see who Orlando does start for Fournier. Again, Dorian Finney-Smith is questionable. Him, Hardaway, and Luka being questionable. They all 3 play big minutes. So this could change the slate if all 3 of those guys are out. Let's see. TLC at 3.1 with no Garrett Temple played 27 minutes that last game. Now, it was a blowout, but still, I think we probably get a decent run. I think he's a viable dart throw. Not something you're going to feel like overly excited about. Kind of the same thing with Wilson Chandler, right? Both those guys probably get Chandler not as much, I guess, but I think both those guys are in the dart throw range at basically min price. I think that does it, though, for power forward. Let's move on to small forward. LeBron at the top at 10.9. I think he's fine, but I would prefer getting to Anthony Davis for about $1,000 less than the same team. Brad Beal does pique my interest here, 10.4. This game is just going to be a shootout. Washington, Atlanta. 2 really fast-paced teams, 2 teams that played no defense. Yeah, I do have some interest in this game a lot. Trae Young, Brad Beal. You can make an argument for John Collins, even some of the cheaper guys I've talked about. Yeah, I do have a good amount of interest there. Let's see, Jimmy Butler. I know the Miami Pelicans, or the Heat Pelicans game is a high over-under, right? 235.5, but I don't know. Miami's a really balanced team. I think Jimmy's fine. I think my favorite play there on Miami there would be Bam, who I already talked about. DeRozan at 7.2K. Back-to-back games where he's chalk. Back-to-back games where he's let people down, right? And he's not doing a whole lot offensively, which is a little bit concerning with no LaMarcus Aldridge. But you're going to get him at low ownership. The price is dropped. It's a good match for against Brooklyn. I do like DeMar DeRozan a decent amount. And I think that ownership drops because he's let people down the last couple of slates. LeVert, I do like at 7K. That Memphis game was a blowout. That's why he only played 27 minutes. Again, this is a good match against San Antonio. The price dropped in him. I think he's a pretty appealing play, more kind of in the mid-range. Hardaway Jr., and he's questionable. We got to keep an eye on the status of him, Luka, and Maxi Kleber. TJ Warren, a lot of people questionable for the Pacers, right? Him, Brogdon's doubtful, Oladipo questionable. That could change the slate as well. There could be some value for the Pacers. Let's see again. Fournier is doubtful. I'm curious to see who they end up starting. There could be more minutes again for like MCW and Wundo. I wouldn't play it. James Ennis could be a little bit more run. Terrence Ross is already playing big minutes off the bench. They like him off the bench. So I don't think they start him, but He's a viable play for GPPs. He's been really solid lately. Again, the concern is he is scoring dependent, right? Look at that stat line in the last game. 35 points, no assists, no rebounds, no blocks, no steals. So, yeah, if his shot's not falling, he can hurt you. I think Herter's actually decent in the mid-range. Not someone I usually get to, but it's a good matchup. He seems a little bit too cheap. I have a little bit of interest there. Let's see. Other options. And this next tier, a range of guys I'm not super excited about, to be honest. Cam Reddish is actually okay. I hate playing Cam Reddish, but man, this game is just very, very appealing. I think we probably get somewhere between 25 to 30 minutes. He's an okay value option at this price. Garrett Temple, again, he's doubtful. Could make some more run for TLC, who I already brought up as a dart thrower option. DFS at 4.1K. If he plays, it's not going to be limited. I would have a little bit of interest in him, especially if like Hardaway's out, especially if like Luka's out. But yeah, like I said, Dallas, this could change the slate with the status for those three guys. Let's see. Other options here. Doug McDermott, I mean, you could even make the argument for him if TJ Warren is out. Maybe they could start him, but he is also questionable himself. There's a lot of injury news to monitor here. Like Justin Holiday would become a lot more viable. Aaron Holiday would become a lot more viable if like all those Pacers guys are out. You can make the argument for TJ McConnell as a value play. Yeah, it's going to be a tricky one for sure. Jerome Robinson played 26 minutes. He's at 3.2K. If he starts again, he would be a value guy I would look to. I think that really does it, though, for small forwards. I'm going to shooting guard. Still no Levine, so we'll talk about Kobe White here in a bit. I really like Devin Booker at 8.4K. Great matchup. No DeAndre Ayton. He's going to have to do a lot more offensively. Still no Kelly Oubre. I do like Booker a good amount. I know he hasn't been great recently, but I think this could be the game where he has a breakout game. CJ at that price, I think I prefer getting to Lillard. Let's see. I'm not going to get to Donovan Mitchell. Marcus Smart was a huge letdown. With Kemba coming back too, I'm not going to get to him. Kobe White, I still have interest here at 6.3K. Especially again, Malcolm Brogdon's doubtful, so he's a really solid defender. He'll be out of there. He played 35 minutes that last game, which is really good to see. And again, still no Zach LaVine, so he's going to come off the bench, but he's probably going to get at least over 30 minutes. I still like Kobe White for GPPs, and I think he goes virtually unowned today, or tomorrow, I should say. Again, Fournier doubtful. Terrence Ross, it's probably just his usage booster. I don't think he plays much more minutes. We'll talk about some of those value Orlando guards in a bit. I don't think I get to Fultz. I know who's going to get more usage, but probably not for me. Oladipo, questionable. That's pretty big, right? Both him and TJ Warren, status up in the air with Brogdon doubtful. Shabazz, no Ish Smith, played 26 minutes the last game. He's okay, right? He hasn't been great recently, but he is a guy that can have upside games. DeLon Wright, again, this is kind of dependent on Luka Doncic news, but if Luka plays and DFS and Tim Hardaway are out, they're going to have not a lot of bodies that can use. So I would consider DeLon Wright if both those other guys are out and Luka plays. Like I said, we have to monitor that Dallas news. It kind of changes the whole slate. Kind of the same thing with the Pacers, right? Because the Holiday brothers would become a lot more viable. TJ McConnell especially would become a great value play if all those guys are out. Like Michael Carter-Williams, they could start him. You're not going to feel great about it, but in a good matchup, we probably get like 25 or so minutes if he does start. DJ Augustine, too. We'll talk about him in a sec. All right, let's move on to point guard here. Again, Luka, this is pretty huge news. If he misses, would really like Porzingis. If all the guys on Dallas miss too, again, that would open up a lot of value. Guys like Seth Curry, DeLon Wright. So yeah, like I said, we have to keep an eye on that. Trae Young, I really like at 9.9. Great matchup. He had a bust game the last game, but again, everyone in Atlanta did. Yeah, anytime you can get Trae Young under 10K and in a great spot like this, I really like him at that price. Lillard, I have some interest at 9.7. Played 32 minutes his first game back at 41 fancy points. I think he's a pretty solid spend up. D'Lo, don't know if I get to him at that price. Again, I'm not super excited about the New Orleans guys. No, Lonzo's been solid, but it's a tougher spot here. I don't think I get to Kemba. They might limit his minutes still. Dinwiddie intrigues me at 7.3K because I think he's going to be virtually unowned. The last game, again, was a blowout, but, I don't know. it's either him or LeVert. They switch off having the big games, so I think LeVert will probably be a little bit more popular. If you want to pivot off of, a higher owned guard in the same team, you could look to Dinwiddie. Rubio's okay, but I think I just prefer getting to Booker for a little bit more on the Phoenix side. Don't think I get to Ja there. Again, I have some mention Kobe White for GPPs. Schroeder and DeJounte Murray, those are two guys that are always viable for GPPs. Let's see. This next tier I'm not super excited about. Yeah, DeLon Wright, kind of depend on the news. Or that's Derek White, never mind. DeLon Wright, kind of depend on the news with those other the availability of those other guys on Dallas. Where is DJ Augustine? He's at the flat min price, right? I think they could start both him and Markelle Fultz together. And I'm curious to see what they end up doing with a starting lineup. But you can make an argument for him as a value play. All right, let's go team by team really quick again on the Atlanta side. And I really like Trae Young as a spend up. I think John Collins is viable. You can make an argument for Kevin Huerter. And then, a guy like Dwayne Dedmon, if he starts out, I have some interest in the value play. On the Washington side, I like Beal a good amount as a spend up. Bertans is viable for GPPs. Shabazz is okay. I think Thomas Bryant's an okay value play if he starts. And then Jerome Robinson as well is in play at like almost the flat min. OKC, no one I'm super excited about here. Again, they're mostly just cash game plays for me. On the Knicks side, kind of the same thing. If Mitchell Robinson misses, then I could look to a guy like Bobby Portis. San Antonio, we still have no Aldridge, no Pirtle. I think DeRozan makes for an interesting play here in the mid-range. I think he's going to be virtually unknown after letting people down the back-to-back slates. DeJounte Murray's always viable for GVPs. I think Trey Lyles probably gets big minutes. I have some interest there. Didn't talk about Drew Eubanks, but where is he at? He's at the flat min. Sure, you could look to him. We know Brooklyn runs big. Maybe it's about 20 or so minutes, but I think I feel better about those other value plays I already talked about. On the Brooklyn side, it's kind of Dinwiddie and LeVert for me. That's about it. The centers, if you want to take a shot for GPPs, fine. I mean, TLC probably gets a little extra run there with no Garrett Temple. He's a viable dart throw. Orlando, so Vucevic, I think, stands out as an interesting play there at under 9K and a really, really good matchup. Don't think I get to Gordon at that price. Fournier's doubtful, so I'm interested to see what they do with the starting lineup. Whether they could move DJ Augustine in there, they could move Michael Carter-Williams. I think both those guys would be a viable. However, if one of those two guys starts, I would like them as a value play. And the Minnesota side, not a whole lot I'm super excited about. I think Naz Reid probably is the guy that piques my interest the most just because he has the most upside, but he also is very, very risky. Utah, I shouldn't say the most upside, right? D'Angelo Russell obviously has the most upside, but for his price, I'm saying for Naz Reid. On the Utah side, not a whole lot I like here. Utah's the number team I get super excited about. Tougher spot, too. This game in general is kind of a fade for me. On the Boston side, kind of the same thing. I know Hayward and Brown are out, but Kemba's now back. Tatum's priced up. I don't think I get to Smart at that price. So, yeah, kind of a fade for me that game. Pacers, this is where you could get some value here. I do like Sabonis if all three of those guys below him are out as a spend up. And then, again, if Brogdon's doubtful, Warren and Oladipo are questionable. We also have Doug McDermott questionable. If all those guys are out, I think the two Holiday brothers would be really solid value plays. TJ McConnell as well. So, like I said, we have to monitor that news. On the Chicago side, it's kind of Kobe White for me, and that's about it. I don't think I get to anyone else here. Let's move on to Miami, New Orleans. Again, Miami is a pretty balanced team. Like Dragic and Butler are okay. I think my preferred play here on the Miami side there would be Bam at 8.2 in a good spot. On the Pelican side, not a whole lot I like here. Tougher matchup. I think everything is just okay, but no one I'm going to get to. Memphis, I think JV makes for an interesting play there at 7.4K. Back-to-back games of blow up. I think he probably gets 30 minutes in this one, 32 or so. He makes for an interesting GBP play. I don't think he's going to be that high owned. I don't think I get to Ja or any of the value, though. So it's kind of JV for me, and that's about it. Dallas, this is another team where we could have value, right? If Luka, Hardaway Jr., and DFS are all out, then obviously like Seth Curry, DeLon Wright, JJ Barea. Those would probably be the guys I'd look to. Maybe Maxi Kleber, too. And obviously Porzingis, if Luka's out, would really like him. I think Porzingis is still viable if Luka plays. If Luka plays himself, I think he's an interesting spend-up, but don't know if I would get to him at that price point. And then let's talk about Portland and Phoenix. On the Portland side, Lillard makes for an interesting GPP play at that price. Whiteside as well. I don't think I get to anyone else. On the Phoenix side, this is where we have some value. Booker, I like a good amount as a spend up with no Ayton. Or Ayton doubtful. I don't think he's going to play. Rubio's okay, but probably not going to get there. And then the value plays, right? Diallo and Aaron Baines. I assume probably Baines starts. He would probably become the best value play of the day. But I think you can make the argument to play both, right? Ayton was playing huge minutes. Ayton played about 35 to 40 minutes a game. So, yeah, I don't think they're going to run out, like, if Baines starts, I don't think they're going to run him out there for, like, 30-plus minutes. I think he probably gets somewhere between 25 or so, and then Diallo probably gets the rest, right? So, yeah, again, I think both those guys are certainly viable. Whoever does start is probably the safer option. Milwaukee and the Lakers, this one should be really, really fun to watch. I don't know if I'm going to get to anyone here for DFS. Like Giannis, more of a contrarian option at that price. Everyone else is a pass. On the Lakers side, my favorite play there is Anthony Davis at under 10K. I think you can he would probably be my favorite play in this game just for his price. But I still don't know if I get to anyone for my lineup. And yeah, I think that basically does it for the breakdown of this 10-game slate. Really interesting slate. I got a lot of news that we still have to wait for. So it is important to follow me on Twitter because I will not, unfortunately, again, I will not be able to live stream. But I'll try to keep you guys updated. I'll probably maybe try to give you a core or like a player pool. Because again, I'll be at that Chicago and Indiana game. But yeah, thanks again for everyone to come and check the video. I really do appreciate it. I will have a video up breaking down the XFL main slate right after this. If you guys are interested in XFL content, be on the lookout for that. Thanks again, and I will see you guys all later.